On the life and legacy of Bobby Hull, who died yesterday at the age of 84. Hull played 23 seasons in the NHL and World Hockey Association. He won the Hart Memorial Trophy as NHL's most valuable player twice and the Art Ross Trophy as the leading point scorer 3 times. Hull also led the Blackhawks to a Stanley Cup in 1961 and was named one of the 100 greatest NHL players in history.
Joining us now is Glenn Healy, President and Executive Director of the NHL Alumni Association. Glenn, thanks so much for joining us. Your initial thoughts on the news that Bobby Hull has passed?
Well, we lost another pioneer, another guy who paved the roads for the current players to play this great game. And Bobby was unique. He had a swagger that was, and a smile and a laughter and a joy of life that was something else. Not many players spend warm-up signing autographs at Maple Leaf Gardens for all the fans, and then spend the post-game as he crossed Wood Street or Church Street, signing every autograph for every fan that would stick around. And maybe it's those guys in the 60s that played without helmets, and we got to know them better, and there was only 140 of them, the original 6, and they were our heroes. He was one of my heroes. And the only thing I guess I can look back on and say is, oh, thank goodness I didn't have to play against him with that slap.
Yeah, I mean, trying to stop that slap shot. Yeah, I mean, that would have been quite a challenge, Glenn, for you as a goalie indeed. I wonder, how difficult is it to sort of compare, a Bobby Hull to a Connor McDavid right now? I mean, the eras were just so different. How do you sort of put him in perspective for an average hockey fan who may have, just heard about Bobby Hull yesterday, for example?
Well, I got to play against Brett, and there clearly is some genetics that were passed on to Bobby and Brett, and I didn't get in the way enough of them. I can tell you that. So, hey, to play the game in the NHL, you got to be in shape. Have you seen Bobby with his shirt off, pitching hay? Like, this is a guy who was in shape. This is a guy who was smart. This is a guy who was one of the greatest goal scorers ever in the history of the game. And, realistically, wasn't playing against 32 starting goalies. He was playing against 6 goalies. That's all there was in the NHL. Whether it was Glenn Hall on a particular night, or Jacques Plante, or Bruce Gamble, or Johnny Bauer, these were darn good goalies that are all Hall of Famers. So my answer to you is, could he play in today's NHL? He could play as much as he wants, and McDavid would be lucky to play with him. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and Glenn, some other sports experts are saying that, they're likening him to Alex Ovechkin with the way he scored, setting all different kinds of records back in the 60s. But, Bobby lived a very different life off the ice, and I want to delve into the controversy. I know that on a day like today when he's passed, we should focus on the hockey, but he was also known for some of that controversy, that conviction against a police officer for assault, and, of course, the spousal abuse. So did you know anything, personally, any kind of tidbits of information that we didn't know about him?
I can't say that I did, and I can't say that, in any one of us in our lives, we do make mistakes, and we should be forgiven for some of those mistakes, and we should move on and be a great ambassador to the sport. And I think that's what Bobby did. And, when it comes to what he did on the ice for all the current players, he's the guy who went to the WHA, left the NHL and the Chicago Blackhawks, an original 6 team, so that all the rest of the players could have a better living and a better life. And, he did that when he signed with the Hartford Whalers and Winnipeg Jets and those teams, especially when he signed with Winnipeg. He didn't have a contract even in his hand. He got on a flight without signing, just going by a handshake, because that's what he was. Mistakes off the ice, yes, but greatness on the ice. And I think in these times, that's what we celebrate. And looking back, we learn lessons from everybody that makes mistakes off the ice. And I don't think we shouldn't throw the first stone. None of us are perfect.
Yeah, Glenn, the game's changed, the times have changed as well, and I know the Alumni Association is also, doing what it can to try to help players, as they leave the game, because that transition from professional athlete with all the adulation and all the fans, etc., that can go away pretty quickly, and it can sort of be difficult, I'm sure, for retirees to stay on the right path. How is the NHL Alumni Association, kind of helping, steer people in the right direction?
Well, all the guys in the hall here, short career and long life. I mean, Bobby had a short career, in a sense that he lived to the great age of 84. What does that long life look like? We try to make it as best as we possibly can. And when you look at it, we just try to make tomorrow better than today. And for players that struggle in certain areas at certain times with transition. We're there to help them through that struggle. It is difficult. The best job you'll ever have is when you're 18 years old, and it ends when you're 24. That doesn't happen in many careers. Typically, your best years are your latter years. So we're there to pick up the pieces, and certainly, we've got at the All-Star game this year, Davey Keon is our Man of the Year. We only have 30 guys left that really played in the 60s. Most can't travel, so we'll celebrate Dave Keon. But when I look at Davey and I look at that legacy, I think we should really celebrate it. And Dave is our guy for this one, so we're gonna look at that and enjoy it.
All right, Glenn Healy with the NHL Alumni Association. Thank you so much for your time this morning. Appreciate it.